hope you're doing well, and I hope this video finds you well. Strange time, isn't it? Strange things going on in the world. After months of stuff on Russia, suddenly there's some stuff on China. I'm referring, of course, to the news. The perception, of course, is the fiasco in Shanghai. What fiasco? I told you what's going on. Biden and Blinken both told Xi Jinping, you will sanction Russia or there will be immediate consequences. Well, what consequences happened? Full-blown biological assaults up and down the coasts of China. That was the direct effect when China said no. Who else is talking about this? Doesn't anybody else put 2 + 2 together? Do you think that the United States is always hot air? That they don't carry through on threats? Come on, people, you know what happens. If your threats become meaningless, you are a non-entity. That's childhood playground 101. And so people are asking me, well, what's going on in Shanghai? I'm like, what do you think what's going on in Shanghai? What's going on in China? We're all at DEF CON. Duh. Russia and China are both at a heightened state of alert. And full protective, defensive protocols are in place. China's handling this. And if it were to change to some other system, whether it be conventional warfare, hybrid warfare, nuclear warfare, China would react to it as well. I'm glad I'm in China. China's doing quite well and is handling this fine. So if that's your question, what's going on in China, that's your answer. China is in a state of war and they're handling it. And they're under biological carpet bombing right now. The moment China lets their guard down, it's going to be another strain. China cannot stop this testing and maintenance of protection measures for viruses until the United States either stops its warlike stance or ceases to exist as a nation. And it's that simple. It's that simple, guys. So what you read in the news and stuff, and they have videos of this and that, that doesn't tell you anything. I show you videos of things and seems to go in one ear and out the other. All we know is what we experience. That's all we know. So you ask me, I'm in China, and this is what China's like. Another day at the office. Don't get too worried about that. Besides, there's other things in play. Seems to me that China wants this slow down decoupling. this that's going on in Shanghai right now has to be put in the proper context. And that is that the Chinese government is ruled by those who've got there through merit, that it is a capable organization, and that it cares about its people. This understanding is fundamental to understanding what's going on in Shanghai right now. It's fundamental. That is why just about all of the complaints that are coming out of Shanghai and those who are making these videos are Westerners or ABCs. They're not really Chinese citizens. And that has to be put into proper perspective. China is not the United States. It's not France. It's not Britain. These are capable people who know what they're doing, who have a role to watch over and make sure that the Chinese people are not harmed. They take this role very seriously. To understand what's going on in Shanghai, you must understand that most fundamental point. If you cannot understand it, then you will just fall for the lies and the bullshit that's all throughout the United States and Western media. And then you'll fall for the next one, and then the one after that. The reason why Chinese people trust their government is because their government has demonstrated over and over again that it is capable, pragmatic, and it looks out for the best interests of its people. On the national level, on the regional level, on the state level, and on the local level. If you do not understand that, then you do not understand China. It's a fundamental concept that you must fundamentally understand about China and how the Chinese people think, as well as to understand what's actually going on within China. You need to understand this. It's important. It's really important. The topical matter, the topical issue right now is people talking about Shanghai. And it's being hyped up. There's not too much I can say other than what I just said. Nobody really wants to hear what I have to say. I'm a real obscure voice. Makes me wonder how some people get 2 or 3 million viewers. Are those people or are those bots? You know? Certainly isn't for quality of content, that's for sure. There's some very good stuff out there, but there's a lot of junk too. A lot of what you see on the internet is people giving their opinions based upon what they read in an echo chamber. That's a lot of what you see in the younger crowd. They have opinions, and they got strong opinions, and they're tech savvy, and they throw together some app, and they spout it all out, and you've got a little army of these little people talking about what they think's going to go on in Shanghai. People who've never been to Shanghai, people who can't speak Chinese. 我的普通话没好好，然后我可以You know, you live in China, you end up being able to speak it, but people want to hear me speak English, to be honest with you. I would say 1 in every 2 people can speak English quite well, from kids to old people. And the old people, 1 in every 4 can speak Russian. They want to hear English and they want to practice their English on me. And in my position, it's just more powerful for me to just have my aides, speak in Chinese. And I whisper like some kind of mafia boss. And they nod their head. And then they speak in Chinese. And then I go, and then I speak that. It's a powerful image. So that's, that's how I get a little business out here. Have you guys ever wondered about life? Actually, followers, you all wonder about life. You guys got some really interesting and deep perspectives. I gotta tell you this, guys. I would just love to sit with some of you and just enjoy a pizza and some beer, or maybe some steaks and some wine, or shit. Just go to a campfire and talk slowly. Maybe do some fishing and cook on some fire, man. I'd like to spend some time with you guys. Because you got a lot to say. You got a lot of experience. Everybody wants to hear my stories. I'm regurgitating them as fast as I can, but man, all of you guys got some great stories. It's the human experience. The human experience. And you're going to have even more some. Some of you guys are going to be in some difficulty, and that's going to create interesting innovations and adaptations. And that's going to be exciting and terrifying at the same time. Exciting and terrifying. The other day, I was looking at one of these websites that, talk about the rich and famous and lifestyles of them, and it all seems so Tinseltown, so artificial. What do I mean like that? When I was in my 20s, I dropped some acid, taken some LSD. It's a hallucinogen that was popular at those times. And I was doing it with my then girlfriend and her best friend. Her best friend didn't take any acid. She just wanted to, she didn't want to do that. So me and my girlfriend, we were tripping, and we went to the local mall. I hear that most malls in the United States have closed. I know the one that I'm talking about here is closed. Doesn't exist anymore. They closed it 10 years ago as the middle class eroded to nothing. But so we're tripping, and we're in the mall, and when you're tripping, you're really focused on the different kinds of people, the sizes and the attitudes and the clothing and everything. But the girl that wasn't tripping, she tried to fit in with us by pretending to look at things and say, "Ooh, look at these designs," and everything, thinking that. But to us, we're like, stop pretending you're tripping. It makes you look really weird. Stop pointing out stuff that has zero relevance to our interests, because when you're on acid, you become more in tune on natural things, trees, tree barks, leaves, birds, cats, dogs, animals, other people, and things, material things, especially glitzy, chrome-plated objects, have zero interest to you. And so she carried on. And that moment, that freeze frame of that incident is exactly what I'm trying to talk about right now. There seems to be a complete dichotomy between those who are focused on the trivial, the bling bling, the lights and everything, and those that are focused on the more earthy pursuits, the family, the relationships, the purposes, the soul, the consciousness, the feelings, the emotions. And I'm seeing that. And I'm seeing that going on right now as people are asking about Shanghai. You've got these people that are screeching. I mean, they're screeching. They're making more noise. The 5 expats are making more noise than 1 million Chinese people. They're just carrying on like some kind of howling rooster. And they're completely out of control. And they're focusing on the trivial when it's an actual time, an actual serious time, an actual time where you have to take things seriously and look at life as it really is. Discomfort is trivial. Dying is serious. And all I could think about, and all my friends could think about, my Chinese friends, when these expats are complaining, these 20-something, 30-something-year-old expats who are complaining and ranting on and on and on, all they could say is, what about the Waigong? What about the Waipo? What about the Nai? What about the grandparents is what they're saying. Even if it is all about coronavirus, even if it's all about coronavirus, is your discomfort worth the deaths of my grandparents? And that's what they're asking. It makes these complainers look so trivial, makes them look so selfish, makes them look so narcissistic, self-centered. They don't care about their community, they care about themselves. They don't care about other people, they care about themselves. And they say, oh, but it's doing this for the economy. They don't give a rat's ass about economy. They care about themselves because they're selfish. And that's what Chinese people think about these screechers. The reasons why Westerners, especially Americans, don't understand what China is doing is because the Western governments are not ruled by merit. They're not governed by merit. The people are not there because they have particular skills. They are hand-picked puppets, just like actors are hand-picked for a movie. And when they do make decisions, they're basing them on a whole host of reasons that have nothing to do with the well-being of the citizens. So when the United States, when Biden says he's going to do this and he's going to do that, he's a puppet repeating what's being broadcast into his ear on what to say to keep the rabble calm. The decisions that's actually going on are demonstratively
not in the best interests of the American citizenry. If you think that pushing Russia towards a war is in the best interest of the American citizenry, then you are really crazy. You're crazy. If you think that pushing China, who is the #1 source of products, goods, and services in the world, pushing them away is in the best interest of America or in the West, then you really need to have a good look at how you think and what your thinking process is. It's not in the best interest of the people. The reason these decisions are being made has nothing to do with the citizens. Has nothing to do with them. It has to do with the people who are controlling the government. That's what they want because they have their own agendas. I've talked about it. You've got neocons. You've got religious right. You've got social justice warriors. You've got everybody wanting their little piece in their own ideas of what it is. And the silent mass of the population has been dumbed down and their brains manipulated by media to such a point that they are unthinking sheep. If you cannot see this, then why are you even listening to me rant and rave? It's fundamental, guys. This is absolutely, positively fundamental. Now, China's a big country. Like the United States is a big country. And you can't say that things are the same in Texas as they are in Maine, or that California represents Georgia. You can't say that. And so all I can do is talk about my experiences. And my experiences, I happen to live in the Guangzhou corridor, which is it starts at Macau and Hong Kong and heads northwest to Guangzhou. This area is packed with factories and is known as the Silicon Valley for artificial intelligence, robotics, aircraft engines, rocket technology, and avionics. And that's the area I'm in. My wife's family is in Wenzhou. Wenzhou is sort of like the Santa Barbara of China. It's beautiful mountains, and everybody there is money oriented. It is a business financial capital because of the society. The Wenzhou people are very focused on making money and cooperation. And my extended family are located throughout China in various businesses that they own and run. And her younger brother lives in Shanghai. And he's an executive in the family business. And they're under lockdown. And so I get my information from my experiences as well as the constant flow of chit-chat from family and friends, as well as business associates. And I can positively tell you that the attitudes of the Chinese people do not match the howling
believe somebody like me. Oh no, I'm not like Tucker Carlson. You know, he makes how many millions a year? He's got so many followers, huh? Because he's funny? Because he's saying things that people want to hear? Because he's attractive, he looks good in a suit? I'm not attractive. Look at me. I'm just average. And I'm old. Okay? People don't want to hear what's actually going on. They want to see what they want to see. They want their current views to be reinforced. That's what an echo chamber is. They don't want to hear the new news. I get newcomers coming to the website from here and there, and suddenly they land and they immediately start thinking it's something like every other website, that they can place a comment without moderation. I just, or say something insulting, or immediately regurgitate their opinions on whatever the latest topic of the day is. And they think I'm going to allow it. You don't. MM is not regular fodder. It's not the same stuff. It's a totally policed environment. And we talk about things as they are, not as we all wish they would be. And we don't adhere to any of the narratives. I talk about the way things actually are. You don't have to believe my point of view. You don't even have to participate. I wish I had $1 for every single person who would visit the site. I would be doing pretty good. Get a lot of visitors that just don't do shit. But that's okay, because I notice from stats that they stick around. We call those lurkers. It means people who are taking it all in and refraining from commenting because you're smart. I have a lot of respect for that. And I also have a lot of respect for a lot of the viewers out there. You don't know that because I'm cocky and I'm arrogant. But I really have a lot of respect for you guys. You guys really are okay in my book. And you've got such colorful stories when you email me. And you're asking me for answers. Guys, I don't have all the answers. I'm just me. And I did some work for the government, and I'm kind of connected. But man, a lot of the stuff just hits me. I don't know what it means. I just type it up. Some of it rings. Some of it I can translate and make some sense out of it. But so I'm winding and going on and on and on. But I have to explain to you guys a point here that there are narratives being concocted by powerful people who treat you all as sheeple, who manipulate you intentionally to control you. And that's what this entire Shanghai event is all about. For the people of Shanghai, they're not starving, guys. They're not. Everybody gets to eat. Because there's something big going on right now in Shanghai, and it's totally being ignored. And I'm going to talk about that. This new thing that's going on in Shanghai is something typical of China, but is not being reported at all. I titled this video here,
Shanghai ranting and raving, because I'm ranting and raving about Shanghai out of frustration. Not out of frustration because of what's going on in Shanghai, but out of frustration because of the selfish, self-centered, egotistical people who only think about me, and don't give a rat's ass about anybody else. They don't care if that little old lady down the street gets sick and dies, just as long as they can go out, walk down the street and get themselves a nice juicy hamburger. And that's the fact, Jack. Selfish people, self-centered, lone wolf, who do not participate in community, are in Shanghai all upset. Why are they upset? Is it because they're not participating in community? If they were participating in a community, man, they'd be volunteering like the rest of the Shanghai people are. Those people in white wearing the masks are volunteers. They're not getting paid. They're doing it because they're volunteers. Volunteers, free, away from family, no salary, everything's cut off. Volunteers. But no, these people who are bitching, these people who are moaning, these people, these Weigerans, these expats, these Americans, these British, these Australian people who are in Shanghai right now are complaining instead of doing. They're participants. They are not participants. They're spectators. They're the kind of people that throw peanuts at the screen. If they really wanted to do something, they would volunteer and be donning one of those pink or red vests. They'd be putting on a full suit and helping people. They'd be delivering goods. They'd be going over and say, what can I do to help? Instead of, oh, I don't like this. I'm so upset. I don't like this. I'm so upset. I'm so upset. I'm so upset. People, that's not doing anything. And yeah, I'm ranting and raving about it. I participate in my community. Do you? And so here you are, you're seeing these fucking assholes. Fucking assholes. Who are they? Oh, they're fucking assholes. Complaining and moaning because they're locked in their house. And they don't give a rat's ass about anybody else getting sick. There's something fundamentally wrong with them. Why are they even in China? Why? It's me. That's all they care about is me. That's all they want. That's all they want. All they care about is me. You must absolutely be more than just sitting there complaining, bitching, and moaning. You have to go out and you have to do something. You have to make something of your life. I'm sorry about this. Sorry about this moaning. I'm sorry about me bitching about this, but people are asking me. And that's what's going on. Shanghai is looking out for the Shanghai people. And that's what's going on. And some people say it's an inconvenience and they're bitching and moaning about it. And the people in the West believe it. Because the way they describe the government is how the United States, the British, and the Australian government works. They have their ears covered like this and do their own thing. China is in DEFCON. It's in a state of war. It's in a state of emergency. It's a state of high readiness. If you cannot understand that, then leave. You see, China constantly reinvents itself. The systems in place, the way the government works, is one of you see a problem, you solve a problem. The answer doesn't work, you discard it to try another one. And you do it in multiple times. And you're constantly reinventing yourself. You're constantly building. You don't see that in the West. You don't see that in the United States. But in China, it happens all the time. And with this event that's going on in Shanghai, this emergency event,
Totally new systems of food distribution are occurring. Totally new ways of integrating how people's reactions and feedback to the local government is occurring. Totally new systems regarding how people are how their pay structure and their utility and their careers are impacted by these things are all being reassessed, readjusted, readapt, so that they don't lose their jobs, their businesses do not collapse. Everything during an emergency like that is frozen. If you have no source of income, you can't pay rent. If you have no source of income, your clothes shut or your stores shut down. If you can't deliver food and you have volunteers delivering food to everybody who's in lockdown, what happens? The whole city collapses. Not in China, it doesn't. Not in China, because entire new ways are being made, created, and adapted. And these things are becoming very successful, and they're being implemented in other parts of the country. New ways of handling emergencies, new ways of handling biological attacks, new ways of handling things when a disaster occurs and impacts utilities, impacts businesses, impacts people, impacts society. New ways, systems. These are all things that are going on, and none of it's being reported. What is being reported? People's jumping off buildings because they're so sad. You've got multi-million people in Shanghai. What is it? 8 million people in Shanghai? Yeah, people jump off buildings in Shanghai. Or they try to. And the fire and the police do what they can to stop them, but it happens because it's the human experience. People get sad, relationships break up. So yeah, there could be jumpers, but it's a stretch to say that they're jumping because of coronavirus restrictions now, don't you think? All right, that's pretty ridiculous. In a big city the size of Shanghai, and if you've never been to Shanghai, yeah, it's a big city. And for a person to say, well, see, look, there's a car accident. See that car accident? Obviously, China is terrible, and the roads are horrible in China. It's that ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. And any Chinese will tell you this. They'll say, you know what? It's not perfect. We're striving for perfection, but it's not perfect. And that's what you want to see. You want a government that's responsive, a society that supports that government, and a society that allows you to live life as you see fit with reasonable restrictions. That is not the case in the United States right now. It hasn't been the case for at least 100 years, probably 150 years. And it's ludicrous that anybody still thinks that America is free or has liberty. It's just ludicrous. It's an insane statement. And with that being said, I want to say a couple of things about the current crop of pathetic government employees that the world domestically in the United States is falling apart, and yet they point over there and they say, it's their fault. It's Russia's fault. It's China's fault. It's your fault. I'm a big states' rights guy. And for you non-Americans, and I have a sizable non-American audience, you won't understand this, but the states' rights, The federal government, a group of states got together. They used to be nations. They called themselves colonies, but they were nations. They had their own flags. They had their own military. They had their own governments. They were nations. And they all banded together. There were 13 nations. They banded together and formed the federal government. And they said, we're the United Nations. We're the United States. We're states. Independent states. Independent nations. They banded together, formed the United States. Okay? And they did. And at that time, the federal government was very weak. And then over time, it became very powerful. Now it's a big monster. It's gobbling up 30% of everybody's money. And then they die and takes the rest. And uses that money to fight wars all over the world. That's the United States today.
I just read today about this major outbreak of an unknown illness that hit Ireland. It turns out that a bunch of refugees from the Ukraine have brought along with them some kind of strange virus that's now starting to infect Ireland. Do you think Ireland's going to handle it as well as China? Is that what you think? Or do you think that they're going to suddenly suppress all news while they figure out what's going on? What do you think is going to happen?
And so, guys, I'm a big states' rights guy. I believe that the world would be a better place without the United States, but rather individual states being their own nations again, like they used to be. Certainly, the American population would be much happier, having an automatic increase in their income of 33%, and not having to worry about the onus laws and regulations that are just binding and tying the hands of everybody. The world would certainly be a better and safer place, but that's just my opinion. When nations band together, it causes problems. Look at what NATO has become. Of course, it's a proxy military force for the United States. And you add NATO plus the United States together, it's pretty formidable military. How do you handle formidable militaries? Well, you have to destroy them. And that's pretty much what we're witnessing.
I know. The key to handling all these events is to turn off the news because it's bullshit. See what's in front of your own face and judge your life by what's around you, not what other people say. Not what I say. What the hell does it matter in Zhuhai to you? It's a nice day out in Zhuhai. Why do you care? Does it matter to you? It's going to buy you a cup of coffee? The only thing you can control is yourself. The only thing that matters is what you do. It's how you treat other people. That's what is a measure of who you are. When you die, people, whether you're a Christian or whether you're a member of whatever sect you believe, there comes a reckoning. You have to account for your behavior. Your behavior affects who you are. If you are me, and you're not caring about everybody in your community, you're a selfish person. You're a service to self-sentience. The lone wolf scrambling for all the money it can collect. And somehow trying to stay on life support system like the lizard George Soros or Nancy Pelosi or all these other wealthy oligarchs or oligarch puppets. have to help other people, guys. If you're not helping other people, you're wasting your life. You have to help other people. You have to participate in community. You have to give a damn about what's going on. And instead of complaining, you have to volunteer. And if the first person you talk to says, well, I don't know who to talk to, you go to the next one. You keep asking, you keep asking, you keep asking until you have an opportunity. You may volunteer and all you may be doing is standing at the corner wearing a vest and pointing, directing traffic. You may end up just sweeping the street. But at least you're participating in your community. Be the Rufus. Make a difference in life. Stop being a spectator and sure as hell stop being a complaining spectator. And that's what riles me up so much about this stuff in Shanghai. Complaining spectators. That's all they are.
And there's full spectrum. Propaganda wars, hybrid wars, technology wars, physical wars, biological wars, proxy wars. The United States is just doing everything as it can. It will not and refuses to live with the rest of the world. It insists that it be the king of the heap. And that is a mental illness. As you get older, you realize there's no bigger and best of anything else. We all have a role in life, and we all have a role in society. You learn that. So let's talk about Shanghai right now. Originally, I wanted to do a different topic. I'll carry that on some other time. But Shanghai is a financial center. It's one of the most westernized Chinese cities. It's an international city, much like New York is, London is, Dubai is. You've got people from all over the world, and they come to Shanghai, and the building designs, the malls, the pavilions, everything could be carbon copied out of any of these other international cities. It's just got a Chinese flavor to it. And because it's an international city, there's a large population of expats there. It's like Hong Kong, only a little bit different. Hong Kong's heavy influenced by the British. Shanghai is heavily influenced by a host of other nations, not just the British. And so you've got that going for it, as well as the fact that the Shanghai, the Chinese Shanghai culture is slightly different from Chinese culture. Within China, there are subcultures, and the Shanghai subculture is an interesting one. Actually, the Shanghai culture is viewed as one where the women are very, very bossy. And in Chinese culture, Shanghai women are viewed as bonbon chocolate eating, while they order their men around, and the men are considered to be wimps. I don't know if that's true, but that's the attitude that a lot of people have for Shanghai people. They also view the Shanghai language as very beautiful, like tweeting birds. I don't know about that. And Shanghai food is considered to be good food as well. People enjoy it. I myself prefer Wenzhou food, which is fresh seafood with a bittersweet sauces. All to their own, right? So, and when you see this stuff, certainly in a city the size of Shanghai, 8 million or so people, you're going to have people who are tired of being locked in their houses, locked in their businesses. That's normal. Nobody likes that. And you're going to, in such a large portion of society, you're going to have unhappy people. That's normal too. But comparatively, if you compared Shanghai to New York City, the Shanghai people are handling things with greater grit, more acceptance, better understanding than any of their New York individual would. And that's just the reality. It's just the reality about this. And as far as all these horrors and stuff you read, it's just more bullshit news. What do I mean by bullshit news? Really, what do I mean? Well, let's talk a little bit about bullshit news, shall we?
Governments have a role. That's why they're elected. They need to take care of their communities, make sure that everybody has a roof over their head, that everybody can get reasonably priced food, the roads and transportations, whether it's rail, street, bike, walking, are all well maintained, easy to access without any fees, that the food and the water that they consume is good and clean and healthy, that they have access to vices if they want, without encumbrances. If they want to smoke, they'll let them smoke. If they want to drink, you let them drink, without encumbrances. A good government is one that you can immediately voice displeasure through the proper channels and get responses. That's what China has. That's what Shanghai has. If you're unhappy, you pull up your Shanghai app, you press a button, boom, and you log in your complaints. And there is a person, a volunteer, who responds to it personally to you and tells you what the steps are and how they're taking care of your concerns. It doesn't go into a box that's thrown away later on. It's not a phone call that rings and rings and rings and never picked up like the IRS is. It's responsive, adaptive, and provides measurable results. That's what Shanghai has. And the reason why these assholes are bitching and moaning, complaining, is because they're not using that system. They'd rather be spectators for their own ideas, their own purposes. Seriously, the onslaught of this negativity and negative coverage on Shanghai amazes me in so much that it all seems to be coordinated with news out of the West, arguing that China's zero COVID policy is out of date and should be discarded. You should be very concerned about that. Why does the West care so much about China dropping its preventative bioweapons and virus protocols? Why does the United States, Europe, care so damn much for China to drop these protocols? Why is it important? Why do they want China to open the world up so that people can come and go freely, whether they have viruses or not? Why is it so goddamn important for the West? Think, people. Think. Sometimes I really wonder how you guys can ask me these questions when the answer's so goddamn obvious. The West don't really give a rat's ass about China, just like they don't give a rat's ass about the Ukraine. They don't even give a rat's ass about Americans or British or Australian people either. All they care is just like those people. Me, me, me. That's all they want is me, me, me. And they'll do anything to get for me, me, me. And when you meet these people that are so goddamn self-centered, you need to do what China does and push them to the side and ignore them. Chinese just smile and then just isolate away from them. And that's what you need to do. When you start seeing these selfish, self-centered, egotistical crybabies who aren't participating, who aren't volunteering, need to be shunned. And you need to shun them. Do you remember all these other instances that the news was hyping up, like Y2K? Do you remember Y2K? That the entire Western civilization was going to collapse, right? Because of the reset of the 4 digits for the year. And people believed it. And people still believe a lot of stuff. Some of it may have some validity, right? Maybe there's something to chemtrails. Maybe there's something to Wi-Fi. But guys, do you remember, and this is recent, 1 year, 2 years ago, when Donald Trump decided to go really crush Huawei, with Wing Menzhou captured, imprisoned in house arrest, the president? Do you remember that? And at the same time, oh, the dangers of 5G affects your radiation in the brain, and there's all these technical, and everybody is an expert all of a sudden on how radiation affects your brain. Just like everybody's an expert on how vaccinations will control you in nanobots. Just like how everybody's an expert in whatever is the problem du jour. Très le mot. And that's what's going on in Shanghai right now. It's a bunch of bullshit. What is really going on is that China's under DEFCON. It's a state of emergency. It's a full lockdown because there's a major outbreak. And they're not going to let up on that because China has been under biological warfare carpet bombing at least from 2014 under Obama. For certain under John Bolton's guidance under Trump. And if you are an idiot who thinks that John Bolton wouldn't in a nanosecond use biological weapons, then you're an idiot. Have you listened to this guy? Have you read his writings? For God's sakes. He shouldn't be anywhere near a car steering wheel, let alone the levers of power of a big country. But, of course, nobody listens to me.
Now all the hyper is about Ukraine losing. Ukraine losing. It's a war going on. Britain is pledging a couple of billion euros worth of equipment. America, Biden, is given $1 billion more equipment. Germany's given $1 billion. All these billions and billions of munitions and everything's flowing into Ukraine to suppress Russia. They don't give a rat's ass about the Ukrainians. You're going to tell me, are you really going to seriously tell me that the United States cares about the Ukrainians more than they care about the Syrians, or the Libyans, or the Afghanistans, or you? Does the United States care about you? If there was a stack of $1,000 bills on a table and you, and there was a choice between a government employee, take the money or kill you, they could kill you and take the money, or not kill you and not get any money. What do you think they would do? They would fucking blow your ass off. They would kill you. The United States is run by moronic, psychopathic sociopaths, if that's even possible. If that's even possible. And they are funding millions of dollars on an anti-campaign, anti-China campaign, anti-Russia campaign, and it is just going blah, 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 and everybody's flooding my comments here, asking me questions and emails and stuff. It's like, please guys, there's bigger things going on. Why are you concentrating so much on asking me to refute the obvious? You're asking me to refute the obvious. And nothing going on. Okay? It's DEFCON. It's a state of war. It's a state of an emergency. What's coming out of this is there's going to be a slowdown in the current coupling between the West and the East. That's intentional. Maybe that's a side effect. Maybe not. Whatever's going on, it's a decoupling. It'll be a good thing. It'll be a good thing. It'll be a good thing. So don't worry about it. So I appreciate your letters, your emails, your issues of concern about all these things that's going on. I really appreciate them. But there's no pancreas. There's nothing I can say that convince you otherwise. You can see the life in China in this video and my other videos. You can see how things as they actually are. It's not as exciting as what you see on Drudge Report. It's not as exciting as what you hear on Fox News. It's not as wonderful as how it's being portrayed in CNN. It's not at all like what you see on the BBC. But it's just the way it is. People are living their life as the best that they can. They get up, they spend time together, they eat, they do their labors. Yet there's this non-stop narrative that something's wrong about that. Because China refuses to take off the masks. Because China refuses to stop testing. Because China won't comply with the idea that it's just a flu. China won't comply with that. Why? Why won't China obey this? Why won't China let its guard down? Why? You guys should be smart enough to know there's a reason why China is still doing it. And you should be aware of that. So when somebody starts complaining to you and they say, oh, everybody's dying, you have to say, why is China not still keeping the masks on? And you have to ask, don't you think that they're afraid of biological weapons from the United States? And somebody said, oh, the United States would never do that. And I hit myself in the head. Of course it would. Where have you been doing? Living under a rock for the last 40-some years? The United States have been doing some really nasty-ass shit, guys. Really has. Not lying. And I'm ranting and raving, and I don't want to rant and rave. It's too early in the morning, huh? So, look, guys. I devoted way too much time on this Shanghai stuff. Way too much of my time answering these questions. You either believe me or you don't believe me. But in the meantime, I'm going to tell you this. The only thing that matters to your life is what you see with your 2 eyes, hear with your ears, taste, touch, feel, be around. That's your reality. Gas prices are getting high, that's your reality. Electrical bills are going high, that's your reality. It's raining outside, that's your reality. There's a stray feral cat nearby, that's your reality. It's your reality. What you see on social media is often a manufactured lie. And if you don't understand how this all fits together, read my article on Vault 7, because it's control of your mind. That's what Edward Snowden uncovered. Vault 7. How American media uses algorithms, frequency, subliminals to control your actions. Herd you like goats. Don't let that happen to you, guys. Turn off the American media. All right. I think we've beat the dead horse. I should hope that I made myself perfectly clear on Shanghai. Right. See life as it actually is. Be the best you can be. Be kind to other people. Call your parents and your grandparents. Say nice things. Try some good traditional home-cooked meals for a change. Spend some time alone in your car or truck for me time. Free of the phone, free of distractions. Spend a little bit of time with the dogs and cats. Smile more. Strike up a conversation, make a new friend. Try a new food. Cut down on the sweets and drink more wine. Go into a store that you've never gone into. Be more conservative on your purchases. Buy and stock up on a larder. Ride a bicycle instead of driving a car. Study an extra skill. And be more attentive to the loved ones who surround you. Basic advice, you've heard it from everybody. Now you're hearing it from me. It's up to you to take it or not. But whatever you do, have a great day. Have a wonderful life. And people, the mere fact you're here means that it appeals to you. We're on the same wavelength. And therefore, I believe in you. I believe you're going to do really good. And all this stuff, all this craziness is going to pass by the wayside. because you've got what it takes, and I believe in you. And at that, guys, I'm going to leave. Have a great day, a good life.